Hello and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. This is the Garden Agility series, and in this episode we're looking at how to do a tight Threadle. Okay, so a tight Threadle or pull-in. Now, we showed you the pull-in or Threadle in the other video, and this was a standard Threadle, so where you ask your dog to come to the back of the jump, with you at the back of the jump usually. Swift, come, and you ask them to go long, jump. That's the sort of Threadle you're gonna mostly be using. The other type of Threadle is where you get your dog to come to the back of a jump and do a tight turn round one wing. Very good, Swift, just like that. Now this is actually one of the things that she finds hardest to do. She actually can do Threadles really easily, and she likes doing Threadles, but doing the tight ones she finds hard. So cues. I have a different cue for a tight Threadle to a long. So my long one is come, jump. Eventually I want to drop, jump. I haven't got to that stage yet. I don't want to have to tell them to do that. I want them just to be on come. For my tight Threadles, pull-ins, I use in. And sometimes it goes in, like that. But shouldn't do. Just sometimes when you're like, it's not going to happen. Okay, so let's show what a in should look like, and there's a good chance this is going to go wrong. Okay, so you're here, I want her to go to the back of the jump, and I want her to take the jump and turn tightly. Swift it, while I'm moving past it, I should add, because as we remember with our Threadles is we're coming with them. Okay, ready, Swift. Okay, ready? In. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it goes right. Now, when you're getting clever with this, you should be able to run off, and they should do that. And you should be able to do things like do that and then blind, or something else so that you can keep that move going. Another way of doing it in-ins, and I would argue this is probably the way you're going to most commonly use them, is when you want to go round the back of a jump and turn back on yourself. But because your dog is on the inside of you, you can't do it as a push round or round the back. You have to do it using your wrong arm. Okay, ready? In. And that is probably the way I would most commonly use those. Good girl. Right, teaching them. So, when I'm teaching this, it's very similar to when I've taught other stuff. I would take away my middle bit and leave myself with just one obstacle. Now it's going to be fairly obvious what she's got to do, because there's no much of a choice. I've got to turn around something. So, hopefully you've been teaching your wraps, so she already knows to go around a cone like that, and you can see that she's so used to it. She goes, yeah, I just turn around it. So now we're going to introduce it. So obviously when you're doing your wraps, you have them on the outside of the jump, but we're now doing it with them on the inside. So some of the foundation work I would do before moving on to teaching in-ins is, first of all, when I'm teaching the wrap cue around a post, you see my arm, I'm using it like this. So it's looking a bit like a stirring the pot, and I've got a closed hand. I can also do that on the flat. Lee, both directions. Okay, so now we've got this foundation for this move with our arm. So you probably just saw I can do that even without a cue. She can also do it with a cue, a verbal cue, but I can do it just with my arm. So now what we want to do is we want to see if we can get her to do this without being on my outside. So we're now teaching her that you can do this also when you're on my inside, and you're between me and the jump. So we could start like this, and with her just this side of me, I'm going to ask her to wrap, but just with my arm movement. And there she goes, she did it. Obviously your dog might not the first time. You might need to help him a bit more. So you might need to be patient and wait for them to think about it and take the cue. But as you can see, because of that foundation work, already she's going, well, you just show me the arm movement, even though I'm on the wrong side of you compared to what normally I can do it. Now I'm going to give her a little bit more room, and I'm going to use the arm, and again just tend around the obstacle. Good girl. already you can see we've got an in, just like that. So a little bit thinking about cues. When I'm doing an in, I usually put my arm across my body and I put my hand down and I draw a circle. Now I'm going to show you in a later video a slight variance on that. But for the purposes of this one, that is the cue with in. So now it's starting to look pretty good. We're going to start adding a word. Ready, Swift? Ready? In. And we drop in the toy to reward that behaviour, which was spot on, perfect. Good girl. Good girl. So as we get better, we turn it into a jump. Good girl. Ready? Ready? In. Nice. Good girl. One thing to bear in mind with this one, especially if you've got big collies and dogs jumping large, this is a cue where they can take poles. Work on a low level, even when you've got space. I mean, we're in a small space. So I would never expect my dog to jump full height and they're only jumping, well, she jumps medium. But I would not expect them to jump full height because it's a small confined space. But even when you've got that room, take it slow to get this right. Get the move right, then start adding in the height. Because you will find this is one where big dogs can take poles. Okay, so she's understanding the cue, got on a verbal, maybe. The next thing is that I don't want to be stuck here. Yes, sometimes I want to be able to pull her that way because I'm going that way, but sometimes I want to be going past. So now what I've got to do is start adding in movement. Okay, ready? In. So I just walk her. I'm not rushing, I'm just going to walk past it. And if she failed on that, I would walk even slower. Good girl. Ultimately, and that is not something that's easy to do in a small space, but I would like to be running past it. As I say, you're probably going to have to wait till you've got more room for that because you're just going to run out of space. But you can do obviously the walking stage. Another thing we can do, now I don't think she'll do this, but we can try it. And I'm seriously low on treats, but we'll do one last thing. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try and do an in, do a blind after the in. So I'm going to send her in the in, pick her up on this arm. Okay, ready? In. Swift. Yay, good girl. So that is your tight Threadle. Easy enough to train if you've got all your foundation layers. As I said with my flickaways and tight wing wraps, I would suggest that you, once you've got this, you train this with normal Threadles as well. The risk being, if you train these all in separate sessions, then you're going to find one becomes stronger than the other. And at some point, you'll get into a competition, you'll ask for a normal Threadle or pull in, and your dog will do a tight one. So you want to make sure you do these in the same session, varying which one you do, so your dog understands the difference between the verbal and the physical cues. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've also got a Facebook page and Instagram. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon.